just, I had nothing but love for Ben. And then I did my tour in the fall where I had Tucker Carlson one night and Ben the next night. And I gave Ben the nicest intro a person could possibly give him. I mean, it was a conscious effort to build him up because people were already turning on Ben because the war had gone on so long in Gaza. There was a lot of blowback. Ben is, ardently 100% pro-Israel. And I didn't like seeing him twist in the wind. I felt bad for him. And I really wanted to sort of vouch for him with my audience to say, this is a good person, Let me tell you some wonderful things about Ben in the intro before he came out. But publicly, we aired that on my show. And he was in an irascible mood that night. We had a contentious back and forth on the stage, but it was fine. I had no problem with it. And he kind of stormed out of there that night. And I thought, are we not good? And why are we not good?
Megyn Kelly went on the Sean Ryan podcast and said something that most people completely slept on, and honestly, it deserves way more attention than it got. She pulled back the curtain on what was really happening behind the scenes between Candace and Erika. According to Megyn, Erika allegedly reached out and asked her to talk to Candace to get her to drop her investigation and cool things down. That's a huge detail.
I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not. But my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erika of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. Now, Megyn also opens up about her blow-up with Ben Shapiro and how he came after her hard just because she refused to throw Candace under the bus over how she handled Erika. But to understand why any of this matters, you need the backstory. It all connects why Megyn got dragged into it, why she got condemned, all of it. And it starts with the mosquito guy. For anyone who missed it, this is the moment Ben accused Candace of claiming that Erika had something to do with Charlie's passing. What looked like a heated debate was really Ben on a mission to make Megyn fall in line, to force her to say Candace was wrong. And Megyn wouldn't budge. She also suspected and later said it straight out.
And I think in that night I thought it could be because of Tucker, because I'm still friends with Tucker and those two were openly warring. And I was trying to get them not to. I love Tucker like a brother. And I've known him a lot longer than Ben, but I care about Ben too. And I tried very much behind the scenes to get them both to come together and try, for the sake of the conservative movement and the country to disagree, but not hate each other,
That this was never really about Erika at all. It was about Tucker Carlson. Megyn wouldn't turn on Tucker, and Ben couldn't handle it. And the way he went about it? So calculated. He privately messages her, "Your friendship is too important to me," then turns around, takes the stage at an event he reportedly paid to speak at, and tears her apart publicly. With friends like that, who needs enemies? That speech set off a firestorm, especially from Candace, who fired back with the now legendary line, "F you, Ben, and the midget horse you rode in on." Iconic. But here's something worth pointing out. Across several episodes now, there's been a clear pattern of people in Erika's orbit using her widow status to boost their own profile views, clout, money. Ben fits that pattern perfectly.
Which was a fool's errand, but it was undertaken in earnest, for whatever it's worth. And instead it seemed to turn Ben on me, not Tucker. He had no problem. He wasn't into it, he wasn't wanting to be close to Ben, but in no way did it make him feel angry toward me. It's only one side asking me to defriend the other side. And but Ben and I had a text exchange after that, and he said in the text, something to the effect of, "I agree that our friendship is more important than what other friendships we have in our lives."
He used Candace's questions about Erika as a weapon against Megyn, his supposed old friend. Which means his outrage about a grieving widow being targeted was never real. It was cover for his actual goal, cutting Megyn off from Tucker, calculated to the core. But let's get back to Megyn, because this is where it gets really interesting. What the public saw was Erika on camera brushing everything off. Stop. That's it. Stop laughing off the theories, mocking the suspicions Candace raised about her and people connected to TV USA, whether donors or staff.
And that's what we should nurture and, prioritize. Because he'd been in my ear about Tucker prior to that. And I was like, I totally get where you're coming from, but I love him and I disagree with you. And I do listen to his show and I think you're misinterpreting where he's coming from. And he rejected that out of hand. And we had already agreed to disagree on Tucker, which is fine, right? That's friends do that. Like, I get it. He's in a very sensitive place. He's got family in Israel and I think a home in Israel and, obviously very, very committed to Israel. And the next thing I knew, Sean, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point ripping me as a coward.
A coward?
Allegedly because I wouldn't call out Candace Owens and what she was saying about Erika Kirk. But that's not what it was about. It was about my not ending my friendship with Tucker, which is the thing that he had been pushing me on for weeks.
But think about the timeline. Ben and Megyn had their public confrontation in the first week of November. Then around November 22nd, Erika appeared on Megyn's show and something was off. Megyn didn't push. She didn't ask the hard questions. She didn't press Erika on anything tied to Candace, which strongly suggests they had already talked privately before that camera ever turned on. Now, that meeting between Candace and Erika on December 15th behind closed doors raises so many questions. And you can't help but wonder how much of a hand Megyn had in making it happen. Did she advise them to meet? Did she push for it? The level of her involvement is still unclear, but it's hard to believe she was just a bystander. There's a video of Megyn describing that meeting, and the way she tells it just doesn't line up with what actually went down.
The same holds true of Megyn Kelly, a person I consider a friend, characterizing Candace as a young mother and thus shying away from condemning her actions or fibbing about them. That is a non-starter. Meghan Markle is a young mother. Ilhan Omar is a young mother. That doesn't matter. And when Megyn said this week, quote, "My goal and my job here is to try to understand, yes, where Candace is coming from on this," and says she sees no purpose in inserting herself, quote, "into this on one side," that is a moral and logical absurdity. There is only one moral side here, Erika Kirk's side. You know, the side of the widow with 2 children whose husband was shot live on camera in front of all of us. Friendship with the person accusing TPUSA of a cover-up of Charlie's murder is no excuse for cowardice.
According to Megyn, it was this calm, mutual decision Erika graciously chose to fly out instead of doing a live stream, like some kind of peaceful gesture. But that's not what happened. Candace started digging into Huachuca, and Erika moved fast. She flew out immediately, armed with a pre-packaged alibi connected to Brian Harpootlian. That's not a peace offering, that's damage control. So when Megyn paints it as Erika graciously came to you, that version leaves out a lot. And it gets messier. While that meeting was supposed to come with a ceasefire, no posts, no moves from either side, TPUSA went ahead and brought in Gary Fivehead, Paramount tactical guy anyway.
And he, like many of his supporters, have been using the Candace-Erika feud against me ever since. At the time, I wasn't saying anything about whatever's going on between the two of them because I was working behind the scenes to help them resolve it. I actually had gotten to know Candace a little, and I knew Erika pretty well. And Candace was very, very focused on Turning Point, as she remains, including Erika. And Erika asked me if I would help her broker a peace between the two of them. And I said yes. So I was trying to do that at Erika's request, and people like Ben didn't quite understand, nor did they give a shit. It's like they just assumed I was a coward, I guess. I was too weak to stand up. Meanwhile, it's like I've been asked by the person you purport to be protecting, Erika Kirk, to help her behind the scenes put this to rest. So go fuck yourself. And you're trying to shame me for not coming out and saying, Candace Owens is bad. It's just possible you don't know the whole story.
So much for keeping the peace. Good on Megyn for not wanting Candace silenced. But you can't selectively defend someone's right to ask questions. Candace should be able to investigate anyone, including a widow who has been caught in multiple inconsistencies. That's not an attack. That's accountability. Here's what's really hard to wrap your head around. Megyn says Erika came to her asking for help making peace with Candace. But during that same period, Candace was getting dragged online, smeared for sharing real, verified information. The only reason she held back her source was to protect them. And Erika? She stood by and watched it happen. She knew the source was Andrew Colvett the whole time and said nothing. That's not someone who wants peace. That's someone who is comfortable letting Candace take the hits. And then there's the Bari Weiss appearance where Erika sits there going, "Stop, just stop," mocking the whole thing like it's beneath her. So which one is it, Erika? You can't privately ask for peace while publicly performing unbothered.
Of course, I don't agree with what she's said about Turning Point, Erika, and she knows that. But my point was simply that I thought maybe Charlie helped me understand, keep my powder dry in the whole thing so that maybe I could be in a position to help it happen. It's what Erika wants. Maybe Candace does want an off-ramp, and I'm willing to try. So Candace and I were in touch, and she was very nice. She said, I'm thrilled it's you. I'll do it.
You can't play both sides like that. Megyn did reach out to Candace to ask her to stand down. She did. But anyone who knows Candace knows how that conversation probably went. She wasn't going to stop because she had caught Erika in lies, real, specific lies. And knowing Candace, she probably told Megyn exactly why, with receipts, things we may not even be fully aware of yet. And then imagine how that conversation between Megyn and Erika must have gone. "Hey Erika, Candace is saying you lied about Charlie having a neck of steel and that he never sent that message they are going to take me out the night before he passed." And you can just imagine how Erika responds to something like that, probably something along the lines of, Megyn, God is good and works in mysterious ways. God is intentional. It's a crazy situation, absolutely bonkers. Classic deflection wrapped in scripture. And speaking of things that don't add up, let's talk about what Ben actually demanded from Megyn.
So they were going to do it out here in Arizona, and then there was a security issue. Candace said that she couldn't come. And then Erika said, I'll go to you. I'll go to Nashville. Which is just extraordinary. I mean, Erika's been all over the country trying to honor Charlie's commitments on his book tour. She was exhausted. She had this coming up this week. I mean, she's going through, she has 2 babies at home she's now a single mother to. But she really wanted to put this to bed, and so she said, I'll go to you. And then it morphed into, let's not do the live stream. Let's just do it, the 2 of us, which I thought was great. So they both went in there. Erika brought a trusted friend and employee here, and Candace had someone very close to her, and by all accounts from both women, had a very good meeting. Now,
it wasn't enough for her to simply say she disagreed with Candace's position on Erika. No, she had to say it a specific way, in his specific tone, to satisfy him. And when she didn't, they fired her. 2+ years of following Candace around, trying to dismantle everything she's built, trying to bury her, allegedly. Ben loves to position himself as this high-road, principled voice on his podcast, but the pattern speaks for itself. You can't hide from it anymore. Now, Megyn recently sat down with the Hodge twins, and what she said there is genuinely significant. That I don't know moment, that's not weakness, that's growth. She still believes Tyler Robinson carried out the act, but she's no longer slamming the door on the idea that other people or outside forces may have been involved. That shift matters.
Will it last? Where does it go from here? I was joking earlier, like, what's more tenuous, the Gaza peace deal or this situation? What I really want is for Candace to move on from Turning Point and Erika. I have no problem with her asking questions, but not about them. But I also object, for the record, to the people who have tried to shut Candace down entirely on inquiring into what, if any, role did Israel have here. And I want to make clear, I don't think Israel had any role. I think Tyler Robinson killed Charlie. My only question is whether there was some trans-Tifa element that helped him. However, it's okay to ask questions about Israel. And it was Andrew Colvett, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, who sent those texts to the FBI of Charlie's, from that private message. It wasn't a text, it was private messages, like a group chat, in which he said the donors to Turning Point were driving him up the wall, and that he'd had it with them, and that they were making demands of him that he was not prepared to meet, and he was at his wit's end. And he had told me personally that he found their behavior, and I quote, repulsive. So I was fine. Again, I don't think it had anything to do with it, but why did I have an obligation to stop Candace from asking those questions? I didn't, and I didn't call her out because I favored her asking them.
That's someone who's been thinking, processing, and evolving, not just repeating a script. And credit where it's due, Megyn has refused to trash Candace, even while disagreeing with her, even while staying close to Erika. That takes a certain kind of character. She's mentioned getting to know Candace more personally, and it shows. You get the sense she's come to understand that Candace isn't doing this for clout or chaos. She genuinely believes she's fighting for justice for her friend, and she's doing it the only way she knows how. Condemning people is easy. Extending grace? That's the harder choice, and Megyn made it. But not everyone sees it that way, and the comment sections have been brutal.
Have some humility. And a real friend, before he stood up in front of millions to attack me as a coward, might have shot me a text to say, hey, I'm about to attack you for not doing this thing. I know you to be a good person. Is there a reason you're not doing this thing I demand of you? And I would have told him. But from that night forward, he and his supporters turned this into like, you will say the thing about Candace Owens or you're bad. You're bad and Tucker's bad. And it got lumped, and this whole thing became a proxy for the fight over Israel. Like, because they needed me to condemn Candace Owens, not because of what she said about Erika Kirk. To this day, it's not about that. It's because she is the chief critic.
One person wrote, "No one does themselves any favors by humoring this kind of insanity and stupidity. Candace Owens is either insane or evil. Neither viewpoint should be defended or celebrated. So apparently disagreeing isn't enough anymore. If you don't fully condemn someone, you're complicit." Another one goes after Megyn directly, saying she's running cover for Candace simply by not denouncing her. And then there's this one calling Megyn blissfully and intentionally ignorant, claiming she doesn't want to dig deeper and that she's been a target for information control.
Arguably one of them in the country, arguably one of the chief in the country. And they need me to say she's bad, she's an anti. And now that they've made anything I say the stakes of the relationship, between me and these people, it's a forever no. Mm-hmm. It's beyond a no. It's a forever no. That you want to get on my bad side, try to control me. It's just never going to happen. So I won't defriend Tucker. I'm not going to say what they want me to say about Candace, who I've gotten to know much better. And I'm still close with Erika. It is possible. I see what's happening between the two of them. I've said what I'm going to say about it. And I have asked Candace to stop. And I've said I don't approve of what Candace is saying about Erika. But it's never enough. You give them one little... No, you have to say it like this. Mm-hmm. It has to be this far. You have to go this far about it. You've got to condemn it in these terms. Fuck you. No, I don't.
Being lied to. And that she knows it, but the cost of independent thinking on this issue just isn't worth it to her. That last one is actually worth sitting with. Because here's the thing. Charlie and Megyn had a real connection. He admired her. They agreed on a lot.
And so I feel for Erika because I don't think Charlie was having an easy time of that. Mm-hmm. And Erika certainly is not going to be having an easy time with that. You know, like she's left with Charlie's messaging, which was no war with Iran, but that anti-Islam is brain rot. And probably in no condition to discern what exactly is anti-Islam and what's not. Because like people are conflating that. Right now. They're expanding that term as we speak to include any criticism of Israel. And Erika, for most of her adult life, has not been a political figure. She's been a wife. She was reality TV. She was a realtor. Mm-hmm. Like, she hasn't been in the business. This is complex stuff. Right. Even for me. And I've been in law and politics for a long time, decades. Mm-hmm. So I just think she's probably, and I haven't talked to her about this, but I think she's probably, I don't know, feeling the ground under her feet moving and not wanting to do anything that's going to undermine her husband's organization.
And toward the end of his life, the two of them were openly having conversations about one of the most sensitive political topics out there. They were being labeled with the anti-Semitism card simply for daring to question a foreign government's influence. Megyn herself said they were going through the same shift, the same awakening, and then Charlie was gone before he ever got the chance to fully land on where that journey was taking him. Megyn seems to still be somewhere in the middle of that journey, wrestling with everything that went sideways around her. And honestly, the closer you look, the more complicated her position becomes. But here's where it gets really interesting.
And doing her best to just hold whatever factions she can together so that they don't turn on Turning Point. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I think based on what we saw at, like, you know, their event in December, AmFest, she would like to keep both factions under the Turning Point roof. I don't know whether it's possible.
Yeah.
And I think she'd like to keep those pro donors on board and not lose the non-interventionalist section of the party. And I don't know whether that's possible either. So that's, you asked me why she hasn't said anything about it. That's my guess without having spoken to her directly.
So do you think Charlie Kirk's was a coincidence at that point in time where he was starting to turn against it? You think it was just a coincidence?
I don't know.
Think about everything she knows. She's heard Erika's private appeals for peace. She's had conversations with Candace that we're not privy to. She sat across from Ben while he tried to force her hand. She's been in the middle of all of this, and yet she still hasn't fully picked a side. Is that wisdom or is that strategy? Because at some point, staying neutral stops looking like grace and starts looking like a calculated move.
About the Candace Owens of it all.
Okay.
I love her, and I really do feel like there's potentially truth to what she's saying. What do you think? Is there something nefarious going on?
Are you talking about Charlie's murder? So I don't listen to Candace's show, but I am 100% convinced that Charlie was killed by Tyler Robinson, a crazed leftist who him because he didn't like Charlie's messaging on the trans issue. That is my firm belief after having talked to the people at Turning Point, the FBI, the security team that was on the ground, and many others. And I've come to that with a good faith basis, and I have nothing that would shake me from it. I don't begrudge anybody asking questions, and I understand the controversy around where she's gone with it. But I think it's really kind of a matter of your preference for your broadcaster. And, Candace is many, many people's cup of tea, and she's not other people's, and I'm the same. And I haven't responded well to people demanding that I try to police her speech.
And that raises a bigger question. Was Megyn ever just a messenger in all of this, or was she quietly shaping outcomes the whole time? If Erika trusted her enough to ask for help reaching Candace, that's not a small thing. That means Erika believed Megyn had real influence over how this whole situation would unfold. And maybe she did. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Megyn was genuinely trying to help both sides, or was she ultimately protecting Erika while keeping Candace at arm's length? And the biggest question of all, wouldn't a Megyn-hosted sit-down with both Candace and Erika be the most explosive, revealing conversation the internet has seen in years? Because I think it would break the internet. Drop everything you're thinking in the comments. Nothing is off the table. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see it. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode. See you in the next one.